Good afternoon. Um, Good evening. We want to welcome you to SKTV. Welcome to our Saturday edition. Today's Saturday, March 19th, 2021. 22. First of all, got deal with me here. It's 2022, March 19th. Um, in the US, it's about 11:09 or 10 in Arizona. It should be about 2 p.m., 2:09, 2:10 on the East Coast. By 11 a.m. in 11 p.m. in Liberia. We call it GMT time. Um, in the Midwest, it should be about 12, 1, 1. Should be about 1 or 9 p.m. or 1 or 10. Either ways, we want to welcome all of you to SKTV. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. Share the show. Today we have another conversation. Today, Tel will be here to talk for herself. Telvina will be here to talk for herself. We should have Ansoni also here with us. A lot to talk about. As you've seen the headline, a lot of different things to talk about. I know some of our detractors or distractors would say, oh, you're just on Facebook, oh, they're making noise. You're just on Facebook, oh, they're making noise. Well, they themselves use the same Facebook to propagate the message, to send information. They do confess openly and behind the scene that Facebook messaging has what impacted them directly or indirectly. So don't listen to that. In as much that they will not get tired of doing wrong, we will not get tired of saying the truth as well. So yes, so either ways we're inside. A lot of things to talk about. A lot of different other news that were going on around Liberia, in Liberia. Someone called me, not one person, more than one person wanted, me to get involved with. Oh, Jefferson Koji graduated, Jefferson Koji not graduate. If you all say Jefferson graduated, what can we say? Yes, we can condemn you all, but what else can we really do, to be very honest? But fast forward, we have a lot of things to talk about today. A lot of national issues, a lot of critical issues that we must discuss as a people to provide clarity, context, and clear the air on some things. Because if we overlook some of these things, there could be problem, they could lead to problems. And so we must talk about it, especially the judiciary system, the Judiciary Branch of Government. Last time we talked about Chief Kokwa and his possible, Chief Justice Kokwa and his possible stepping down, and who's going to take over the judiciary system. It's back in the spotlight. Very unprecedented, confusing, messaging, miscommunications we are getting from all indications. It's not good. It's not good. It's problematic. Let me put it that way. It is problematic. In other news, This is funny, but it's interesting. Spoon Talk is also on the limelight. Uh, we're getting some inside scoops and some inside information about this whole, whether that's Spoon Talk or that whoever it is, about some of the dealings back home, up to the point that the figures involved in all of that, it's very troubling, it's very concerning, very, very concerning. I will say here again for the 100th time that Spoon Talk North is not going away anytime soon. Everything we say from the beginning, when we questioned the going on a trip to Liberia, even the way they acted when they met President George Weah, some of the deals that they made, everything will come out. Everything. Let me say it to them. It will come out. It will. It just started. It just started. It will get worse. It will get worse. Because the people that you're made to deal with, they're talking. They're not just talking, they're providing evidence to that fact. So when we come and say it here, we're not saying it out of jealousy, out of propaganda, or out of hate. Nope. We're saying it because we know what's up. And even if we don't say it, we don't go into details, there are other people that will say it, that will go into details. So, again, we want to welcome all of you. Help us to share the show. It will sound funny. It will sound like a joke every time we say it, but okay. We'll just be dropping bits and pieces. Bits and pieces. Bits and pieces. It's very serious. It's not going away. And it will get worse for the CEO. Let me say it that way. It will get worse for him. It will get worse for the CEO. Your market down today. It will get worse for the CEO. It will get worse. He thinks this is a joke. He has no clue. I said it here before, and I will say it again. It will. It will get worse for the CEO. It will get worse for the CEO. Yo, just watch and you'll listen and see what will happen. Well, but today we have interesting talking points. I'm slowing down my words today, and a lot of discussion to happen. We want to welcome all of you. Help us to share the show. Help us to share the show, please. Invite someone. Today we are going to be in a very conversational conversation. Today is going to be no yelling, no shouting, no running around. We're taking it bele. As somebody will say, we're taking it doucement. The way the French people can say it. My friend may say doucement. That means small, easy. We're going doucement. You know, and yes, we'll be having a necessary conversation as much as we can. So let's share the show. They don't buy some book. I'm gonna get very like I'm gonna do, but it is what it is, you know. Very interesting conversations we're going to be having. We want to know some things. We want to talk about some things. And so we ask you to please share the show with us as we go on our quick musical break here. Right after that, we will be getting into the show. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for helping us spread the message around. Mind you, what is wrong with the Judiciary Branch of Government in Liberia? We'll talk about that. Share the show. Invite someone. Let's get to our musical break, and we will be back.
Learn.
Yeah, beats.
let me. If you not want betrayer, find a friend, let me. Find a friend, let me. Find a friend, let me. If you not want betrayer, find a friend, let me.
Bombe oh, find a friend, let me. Bombe jene oh, find a friend, let me. Bombe, find a friend, let me. Bombe jene oh, find a friend, let me.
Hey, see bestie, your bestie not sweet like my bestie. Your bestie da la bestie, find a friend, let me.
I say, see bestie wanting to wealthy, find a friend, let me. I hear them say, they want me go, I say,
Some of them say they want me go,
I say,
Some French na oh Some French na oh Some French na oh French na Hey, see bestie, your bestie not sweet like my bestie. Your bestie da la bestie, find a friend, let me.
I say, see bestie wanting to wealthy, find a friend, let me. Okoro, they won't step on my blessing, but God get it breaking, Okoro, they won't call it my blessing, but God get it breaking, Okoro.
French, see French, can't see Papa T French, and I want no bad for French. Wangolo, Wango for bestie, Wango for daddy,
I hear them say, they want me go, I say, I hear them say, they want me go, I say,
Some French Some French Some French Hey, see bestie, the bestie not friend by my bestie. The bestie da la bestie, find a friend, let me.
I say, see bestie wanting to wealthy, find a friend, let me.
DJ Young T.
You got funny leg, Johnny. You funny.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here. Javi,
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you. What's all the post? They posted they were going to protest.
Happy Saturday. Glad to be back.
What did you wear on your shirt? So with that girl plenty hair, that woman that plenty hair?
Woman here. Yes, I made this. I designed this 2 years ago. Hints of it, just hints off, and then a woman with a body. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it. I think I can see it. I think the other people can see it too.
Yeah, so it was one of our campaign stuff 2 years ago, when the gender-based violence were kind of way up there. Not that it's not there, but just globally, because of the COVID. And so I designed that as one of our campaign talk. So I still wear it. And
hands off. That's a generic statement. What does it mean? Hands off what? Oh.
So that's what the picture of the woman's body is there. So hands off our body, hands off us, in other ways, ask for consent. I co-authored a book with my daughter too that says, what was it? And I forget the name. Yeah, it's right here. It says same learn no means no. So it kind of ties to it. So, it's just asking for consent, not because even if I don't have on clothes, some people see the picture like, oh, the woman doesn't have on clothes, which makes it even better. If I don't have on clothes, You know, I heard a lawmaker the other day in the House saying, you know, some of the women, they are the cause of the gender-based violence because they get drunk on Christmas and graduation, and some of them the way they dress. If I walk in the street naked, if I just want to wear one of my underwears or whatever it is my choice. You don't have the right to touch me or to offend me anyway. Ask me, and I will give you the consent to do so. So that's the louder message there. That's the key takeaway from that. So,
Okay. Thank you for enlightening us, for letting us know. Speaking of the Senate or the hearing that time when they invited, just before we get into another subject here, when they invited the general minister, speaking of that, I was little, I wouldn't say little, I was very upset. I was appalled, very frustrated for the fact that at some point in the hearing, there was an older gentleman that was sitting on the same chair as the ministers and other people that were called from the government side.
there's some justice. You're representing the justice.
Okay. I don't know whose father is that older gentleman. I don't know whose family member is he. But he's a disgrace. Let me say why. Along with other older senators who were laughing. If you look at the tape when it came to the part where they were talking about young girls being raped or children being violated or penetration or whatever, they make it look like it was some kind of funny thing. You know, it was some kind of amusement, like they're having fun, like boys having a
conversation.
Yeah, like Donald Trump would say they were in a locker room or boys talk or whatever it is. I found it very embarrassing at his age. What do you think? And having these women sitting there too, some of them were smiling, making it look like it's a normal or regular thing. Let's just massage this thing. Let's get it over with. Let's just have a conversation. Let's get it over with because we know that just how it's going to be. What do you say? I found it very offensive from that older gentleman.
Yeah, I mean, from all of them. I mean, it was offensive. It was upsetting. It was disappointing that you need something that is so damaging to the nation and to so many generations that people would just gloss over it or just talk about it casually. Come on, not only that man, but even the other people are there, and then the women in the house. The way they went about it. And I was just like, excuse me, if we don't, yes, I appreciate the men taking the stand like senators. They don't try to ask some tough questions, but sometimes we must lead the change on our situation because we know our situation more than all those people. So the women there, trust me, that they didn't pull the string. Maybe it's your personality. I understand, Boto, I think Boto Konachi, they had a gender or something. She tried, but then they shut her down.
Yes.
Yes, she just rest. You shut me down, trust me, I will pick up again. I will wait and I will make my voice be heard. But they shut her down. I don't know if it's a cultural thing or she felt intimidated because it's a men's world or because, she's new to the Senate. My sister, if they don't get you a chair, bring 10 chairs in your car trunk and come. They shut her down and she was done with it. In fact, she got mad about it and all of that. So I didn't think the women were strong about it. I don't even think the general minister her own, but that's a sad story. It's just so sad. That 4 years later, that this woman doesn't even understand her own laws. She doesn't even understand her job duties. She doesn't even understand the guidance that governs the work that she does. So she cannot even educate a third grader about gender violence because she doesn't even understand. How can this woman who live in this great country that I live in for ever so long tell the world, after attending so many global conferences, including UN conferences, and even with common sense, tell the people in Liberia that relatives can rape people in America as strangers. Excuse me? This is just a global thing. The rapists, they come from different categories. In Liberia, it's not just only relatives that raping people. Strangers raping. Everybody raping. Everybody raping. So if you cannot even competently educate even the senators on that, because you should be the subject matter expert. She acted like they just gave her that role yesterday, And so, like any other new role, Steve, you and I are going to, it comes to a learning curve. So we just took the role yesterday, and so we're trying to learn it. Do's and don'ts. Sister, you've been in that role 4 years, for Christ's sake. 4 years. Even if everybody was doing your work, which we know, but at least educate yourself before you come to this kind of forum. And for once, act smart, be smart, and be confident. I mean, you didn't even know your own stuff. Dylan and other people had to call you into a question about your law. You should be referencing the law when it comes to women, the chapter. It should be front and center of your forehead. You should be not even looking at it because you've been doing this for 4 years. You should be quoting past excerpts of the law that has to do with gender violence, whether it be a rape, whether it be a domestic violence, whatever it is. But you acting like they just gave you the role yesterday. I don't know. And again, she was casual about it. So were the rest of the people. The other women, and what I found appalling was when they said, oh, the rape cases, we are saying that increasing because more people are reporting. No. Yeah, social media, people are reporting because of social media. But the reason that it's causing a lot of noise because you guys are not doing what you should do. You're not doing the necessary precaution. You're not taking the necessary action. And you're not even educating the people or the dangers of it. And that's why it's just all over the place. Nobody said rape not everywhere. But the way you guys handle it is what is disturbing. So you don't can make it look like, the reason it plenty because people reporting it. If people ain't reporting it, that's why making it low plenty. That was so crazy when I heard that. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. I'm sure you got a different agenda.
No, what? Let's have Ansoni to introduce himself. Ansoni, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Steve, thank you. Tevi, thank you. I'm happy to be at SKTV. It's like becoming home now, which is a good thing that we can join our voices to talk about Liberia. So I'm happy to be here, Steve.
All right. Today we have a lot to cover. Some people said maybe Tevi was going to pull the Kiatama on SKTV. So I don't know, Tevi how to.
I don't even know Kiatama like that, but I appreciate his brilliance. So I don't know him. I mean, I just said that following. I like smart people. I'm not a kind of person. Some women, they're afraid to tell, to say, oh, Steve is handsome. Oh, I like Ansoni's shirt because they read too much. No, Kiatama is such a smart guy. He's very analytical. I give it to him. So I watch him. I follow his posts, but I never met him. And then I used to follow him too when they were on this Minnesota thing. Would love to have him, but I don't think he want what trouble. People that would get vexed with him for coming to us. So I don't think.
So that means you are one of the women that open to praise Liberian men.
Of course, yes.
Okay, so but I like hear your line now because we, that Ansoni looking at the camera, looking at you already shot.
Oh, well, I got no line. I gotta prepare that line. But I appreciate. I mean, obviously, you guys know how I feel about both of you. I tell you guys in private and in public. I mean, how respectful you guys are and how you guys treat us with honor, even in your communication. I can testify to that. I don't put my head on the chopping board for so many men out there. Liberian men, but the ones that do good, I am proud to say that because they're not to talk down our men, but it starts from the home that they're not a lot of them that really respect and value us. So if you see those ones, I mean, for no reason, praise them. Steve, I'm the only woman on my team at work, so I don't mind. I see it. I don't mind. With no strings attached, and we talk a lot. Nothing. So I don't mind telling somebody that you did good, and somebody's very smart, very analytical. He brings a lot of wealth to the discussion. A lot of he gives you things. Sometimes 1 or 2 times he will kind of apology and brown nosing, but I guess he was just playing one of those times. But for the most part, he has been at his best. When the good outweigh the bad, we must talk about it. And he's been his best. He's been professional for the most part. And I give it to him. Anybody taking him on the team, that's an asset. I've told Spoon in private and in Spoon panelists in private and in public. That's a huge gap to them. They can go bring what? Samuel Jackson, bring who? There's not a replacement there. You know, there's certain people that leave your team, whether at work or certain things, it take a long time for you to recover from that. And that's what's going to happen today. I don't care who they go bring. It will take some time for them to bring somebody equivalent or even better than Kachama. I wish they had retained him, but it is what it is. Moving on.
Well, we also have to point out here, and I'm considering something here, but we also have to point out here between all of us. Speaking of, because we're going to get into the very tough conversation here on Tuesday of this week, when I was on Focus on Liberia with Ansoni, and I've always said it behind closed doors, in public, and so forth, that when it comes to this framework document situation, there are some words I wouldn't use. And the reason I wouldn't use those words, because I know better. I know those words could be triggering. They could be very offensive to especially women who might have been violated in that form. But some people have chosen to run with those words, whether males or females. And I think choice of words are very important in the matter. And that's why when I was on the show with Ansoni, and Ansoni provided me the opportunity to take away to say, if I wanted to retract me using the adjective on Vice President Joseph Yuma Boakai as a smooth crook, I told him I wouldn't do that because I believe his behavior aligned with that description and so forth. And I was not being offensive or disrespectful at any point in time. But these are just facts. The facts align with that. So tell you being a female, what do you say when people start to use those, the F words in terms of mentioning or whether the alteration of the document or changing of the document? What do you say to women or men that use those words? What do you say?
To your point, Steve, for me, I find the word offensive, very offensive. And again, some people, they don't care, but we have to be very careful, especially for us. We say we know better. We call ourselves the intelligentsia. We must do better. We cannot be like the other people on Facebook who showing the naked pictures, who using the F-bomb, the A-bomb, and all of that. What separates us from them? What exactly, if we're using those same words and we're acting like them? So to your point, for me, I don't like the use of that word. I think there are way better words out there for us to use. And that's why when Mr. Costa, the first person I heard that from was Custer. And I don't know Costa personally. I've never met him, but his communication had been always civil to me. On Christmas Day when he brought it, yama yama, and you know how he ended. But I called him out about it, and I didn't mind calling him out, and he acknowledged it, and he agreed that did he stop doing it temporarily or continuously? And he's an adult, so I can't compel him to stop doing it. But it is also my duty. We asking for change. We hold Josh. We are to a second standard of the government, but then we must lead that change we want to see. And so, I'm not sure if he stopped doing it or not. I haven't watched it, but again, that's his choice. Equally so. And I wasn't the only person. Other women call him out. So when I see other women, the very same women who call Henry Costa out for using the word fingering, and some of the women who know better, like I will give for example Francine. Francine, they see the same field like you. The other one standard human behavior. For me, I did only 2 semesters of it, but I know very well not to do that. Will Francine use those words around her children? Absolutely not. No, she wouldn't. But we find ourselves in this whole thing of politics or my party and all of that. And sometimes we lose ourselves and lose our values of what we stand for. So Costa using this word, we have a problem with it. But I see the whole bunch of women, the very women that were on his kids. And I'm not saying what Costa, not my friend. I don't know y'all know that. He brought it to me on SKTV. I with him. In fact, we're not even Facebook friends. We're Facebook friends. We're not even Facebook friends. But we must call it for what it is. And then you go on a platform, regardless of whatever way you're using it. I mean, you're talking about the framework document. Use other words. And even when you were called to it, people try to call your attention to it. Or even your very husband, your own reference, that my husband told me not to use that word. And I said, I will use it. What's going on here, Francine? What's going on here? So you can express yourself everywhere. Everybody freedom of speech, but you have to realize that people are watching you for the double standard. You can't hold people to one standard, but when it comes to certain things, then it's good for you to use and you and your friends or other people. There has to be a flat line, a flat standard there. And that's the hypocrisy and the double standards that is so glaring about you and others, and that's what we're going to call out. I'm going to call out. I know about the other people. I will call you out and other people. So we need to stop that. You know human behavior. You know that trickery. You know that offensive. If nobody would know that, you know that. You deal with people every day. Human being. That's what you do every day. So if nobody will know that, you will know that. And you use that word for 5 things. I didn't want to watch, I don't watch it like that. There's not worth 3 hours of my time. But I had to watch it this morning to kind of listen to the lawyer piece of it. And in that process, that's how I heard so many of it. And I was just really disappointed. I already disappointed other things about Spoon Talk, including her and her role in all of that. But to even hear her saying it more than 5 times, I was like, what has got into this woman? What has got into her? Has she lost herself by being on Spoon Talk? So I'll leave it right there.
Thank you, Tel. Aswani, what do you say, my man?
Concerning the war that we are talking about here, is a word that is inappropriate. You go in our Liberian community, when we were coming up, when that word is used, 99% of the time is for something negative, something bad, right? Now, even if you bring it to media, in communication, there are so many reasons people avoid certain words.
Right.
Either because that word will offend some people, that word will trigger something negative, that word will reflect on an institution or the individual who uses it. So it's always best to avoid the use of such word. Again, when you're watching TV, when any word that begins with F that is negative, they will cross it out. Even in writing, sometimes they will use an asterisk to tell you that this word is not appropriate in public space. There are so many suggestions or so many things that come to people's mind when that word is being mentioned. So it is not a good communication strategy to use it. That is why people avoid it all the time. And so for the one who feels that, well, it is my right to use whatever word that I think I can use, well, it's on you. And we all know that the person who brought the word out, for the most part, there was a serious backlash. Like Tavina said, the person at some point acknowledged that, well, yeah, maybe I should have used, a much better word than this word. So it has a negative connotation. If you look at it from Liberian setting, even you bring it to Western setting, I'm not familiar with that much, but these ones were used in our community, talking Liberian politics. Where that comes from, my hometown, when you use that word, especially for small children who were affected by the use of this particular body part. So that is always in people's mind. That is why it's not a good communication strategy to use this word, especially when you are somebody a lot of people look up to and listen to and follow. You want to be able to exhibit, the best way of communicating as much as possible. Because whatever you do, because some of these people that are using the words, they are called heroes. They are called leaders. And when you are a leader, people follow you. Whatever you do, people will do it. Insult now has become normalized in our section today. There are some people who they refer to as fathers who are using these kind of insults, right? And so, unfortunately, some of our sisters included, they even find pleasure. And if you are doing a show and you are not using this kind of words, some people just go away. They say it's just boring. And this is where our society have come. It has come to a bad place. And that is why we should all collectively understand, first of all, and recognize that we can communicate better and we can use appropriate words, especially in the public space when we are communicating. Because what our children, what the little ones, those ones are coming after us, what they hear from us, that is what exactly they're going to pick up.
Thank you, Mr. Sear. Well, I agree. I agree with both of you that it's important that we don't use certain words, that we don't push certain agenda or certain message. I take for example, I was speaking with someone who started to carry on a certain message because people who use propaganda or so forth, they like to push certain things, and they push it to the point where with a goal that you will run with it, or people will run with it. And when people run with it, it starts to resonate. It starts to, even if it was not true or it's not realistic, it started to appear to be truth, realistic, and people start to accept it. And most of the times, most of the people we see on social media, will listen to on social media, most of them regurgitate these things. They make it like a talking point now. When you ask them questions, they revert to that because they've heard people who they look up to say that, not necessarily them doing their own investigation. So one of our friends, kept pushing that agenda. And I said, no, you can't do that. I said, you can't do that. To open your eyes, But again, another person that I spoke to too started to pass around with a false propaganda narrative. And I had to tell this person, if you are going to run with this false propaganda narrative today because it's not against you or against your camp, when this same person comes up with a lie or propaganda against your camp, it would be okay for other people to reference that person and use it too, because we have to be fair. And we're not at that point and say that person is crazy or that person don't know what they're talking about. Because when they use it, you felt it benefited you to some extent. You ran with it. They weren't crazy at that point. So these are things that we all need to come to terms with. If we truly want a better Liberia, like Anthony said, then let's call it for what it is. If somebody's doing wrong, whether we're associated with them or not, let's say they're doing wrong, and not try to make it look like I'm hearing some people saying, oh, the politics is for big boys. Politics are not lies. Politics are not fooling people. When your political leader lie, when they say you take it personal, but come on, But let's move on. The bigger question here today is, what do you think is actually wrong with our judiciary branch of government? What is really wrong? What would you say? Apart from everything else that's going on, what is wrong with the judiciary branch of government, that arm? Now, taking consideration rape, everything we've talked about today, taking consideration those different factors, what's wrong with our judicial branch of government?
Obviously, there's no telling that it is compromised. They're not there for the common good of all, but to favor the ruling party, which oftentimes is expected in Liberia. But I think now it's just on a whole new level. And so it's deeply concerning. But that's why I can summarize it. It's compromised in every way. That's all.
Okay. Anthony, what would you say?
That you said it right. That whole branch of government, to say the least, is compromised. We are not experts. We are not lawyers. But we are aware of the conduct of our courts. We heard stories of, justice can only go to the highest bidder. But that if you have more money to buy the judge or give them money, the case will go your way. That is being compromised. People who are charged with the responsibility of dispensing justice and interpreting the law should interpret the law for what it is. But if you are a poor man and you went to court against somebody who has a deeper pocket, even if that case, from all sides of it, appear that is in your favor, is most likely to go against you because you don't have the ability to buy justice. So yes, that's the best way to pull it. It is highly, highly compromised. And if you come to think about some of the lawyers, the way the lawyers conduct themselves, a lawyer will rather be a lawyer or represent a client with a much bigger pocket compared to somebody who has no money at all, right? So to say that the courts they are compromised, that's the right thing to say, and that's why we see every day. Steve, again, I'm not an expert. I can't give you sufficient information other than to say we have a compromised judicial branch of government that has a lot of people without any integrity. They interpret the law for their own benefit and not to defend the law. No, that is not their primary responsibility. Some of them will tell you, hey, this is the law, right? And I have my client, I have to do everything for my client to win, especially when that client is somebody who has enough money, to give them. So that's why it is. It's compromised, and I don't know when we will ever have a judicial branch of government, a justice system that will be. I mean, come to think about it, rape cases. I mean, how much effort, for example, do you see the Solicitor General exerting more effort when a baby is being raped compared to when a case is more like political? And maybe the one against whom that case is has a much bigger pocket, or when that case brings some political benefit to, say, the Solicitor General or political benefactor, right? So when we're talking about it being compromised, that's why you see that it's about the interest of the lawyer versus the interest of justice and the interest and the image of the country. That is why it's compromised.
Thank you, Mr. C. I want to add up this question to both of you because I think it's very important. Most of the times people reference that the war in Liberia occurred because of the elections, which evidently was tied into the rulings, the judicial branch of government. The elections that do quote unquote rigged and so forth. Do you think this political compromise and other compromise of the judiciary branch of government could possibly lead to conflict in the country? Please bear in mind, most recently, the case of Bernie Samokai, in other cases, Kabina Janet, in other cases that, Liberians feel justice was not dispensed. The case in the three missing boys, Gifty Lama, let's keep these things into context. Do you think this could lead to escalation into conflict in the country? I know suppose, you're talking about war business, but we're not going to listen to those nonsense, because at the end of the day, when people don't get justice, they will take the law into their hands. Whether you like it or not, that's just how we are as human beings. There is nothing here to say we're talking about war or beating war drum. It is the fact. So what do you think? What do you guys think? Tell, what would you say?
I think your closing statement just said it all. If people don't get justice, they'll take the law into their hand. And taking the law into their hand not necessarily mean war. Some people will revert to war, but some people will protest. Some people will do so many things. So all of these are on the table. They are out there for consideration if people don't get justice. So I wouldn't rule any of that out. Would it be a war? We don't want to see war. We don't want to see everyday protests. But it is what it is. If you don't give me justice, then I'll find ways in which I can get justice, or find ways in which I can soothe my pain. And that's what it is. So it is what it is, Steve. So it's the government responsibility to take cues from these things and do the right thing. And do the right thing. That's all it is. It's that simple. Do the right thing.
Okay.
Look,
And what Charles, just before Sonny come, what would that right thing be? Because just saying do the right thing, some people might say it's a vague statement. You didn't say anything. What would the right thing be?
So there's so many things when I say do the right thing. So if somebody wants justice, in the case of the rape case, so that means they must go through the due process. The case must be fully, it must go through the full circle of the law. And that person who was violated must get justice. And justice is relative to them. Some people don't want that definition of justice is that they want this person to walk in the street with placards and say, I'm a rapist. Some of them don't want a person to go to jail. They want something. So whatever the definition of justice is, I'm not saying kill them. I'm not one of the people who say kill rapists, but I'm the one who say, castrate them. So it's the victim, and I want castration. The victim would say, you know what? I just wanted to apologize to me. I just wanted to pay me for pain and suffering for 2 years or 5 years or whatever it is. So it's whatever they want and what the law can support. But at the end of the day, they must get justice. In a case or whatever case, say where I will reference Mr. Kumi's case here, whatever be it, I don't know the details of it, and I just want to see the finished product. For me, I'm more of the law. So let it go to the full circle of the law, and then let the chips fall where they may. So where anybody else. That's what the laws are there for. That's what the people, our forefathers made these laws and subject to amendment from time to time, so that when these things happen, people must get justice. So let it get justice. That's all it is.
Okay. Mr. Sia, what would you say?
Steve, like Tavina said, that your closing statement there with your question, says it all. When people don't get justice, it's obvious they're going to take matters into their own hands. It has been like that historically speaking. So this is not anything new. The result of people not getting justice, the result of people being oppressed and suppressed, and that they are not treated fairly. They take matter into their own hands when they can't take it anymore. For example, of recent, we heard about somebody being burned to death. Isn't that true in Liberia? And this person allegedly was a thief who stole and was being chased and caught and was set ablaze by citizens. Now, think about it this way. If at all, anytime the residents or the citizen call on the police to intervene in any case of alleged stealing, and that they will come and make an arrest and investigate, and then there is an outcome in any such case or cases, the people will trust the police, and they will always call on them, and they will not take matter into their own hands. That is to say, they are getting justice. Here in the U.S., when you call the police in my state of Minnesota, you have five minutes. It's the least it will take for them to come to you. At most 10 minutes, the police will be right there. And then they will investigate. So with that, is for the most part unlikely for any individual to take matter into their own hands. Some people will do, but the fact that when a citizen call on any issue bordering justice, the police come, they will not necessarily take matters into their own hands. The Brandon Samonka case, you mentioned it. It's a complicated political and legal case. All right. So, but the people of Lofa felt that they were not getting justice. They felt that they elected their son, and by law and by the Constitution, he's supposed to take a seat to represent them. That is the weight of the people. And because they felt that they were not getting justice, for them, justice meant that the man they elected, who was allowed by the National Election Commission and the Supreme Court of Liberia, should have taken seat to represent them. And the fact that that was not happening, that was not justice for them. What did they do? They protested. If you remember, they went to the National Election Commission. They set some cars ablaze. Not only that, they brought the country devil out. There were reports that I think even at the bridge, Lofa Bridge or so they call it, right? The country devil said no one was going to enter. So again, people were taking matters into their own hands because they felt that they were not getting justice. Let me give you another example. There is a young black man in Tavina state of Texas, U.S. trained Marine, who every time he turned on the TV, police killed a black man, they go into the case, usually the white police officers, they are not found guilty. He saw that his race, the black race, especially young men, were being killed by white police officers, and there was nothing coming from out of it. He felt that black people were not getting justice. What did he do? Being a trained man, he used his skills and killed some police officers. And there was also the report about an ambush against some police officers in New York. People take matters into their own hands when they feel that the justice that they deserve, they are not getting the justice. Tell me not talk about protests. That's another thing people do. Though protests can be, it's a constitutional right, but that is people taking matters into their own hands because the authority, the state, or let's say the law enforcement community, not actually listening to them, not giving them justice. Deal with protest. So Steve, yes, on the issue of your fear that some people may say, oh, that war, these are the very things that contributed to the war that we had. People were not getting justice. People were not allowed to speak. And if they spoke against the government and Abiy, either they will be arrested in the middle of the night, they will bring book or charges against them. People were sent to Bela Yala. Some people were sent to prison for years. They became political prisoners. Steve, at the end of the day, people felt that, well, then we need to get this government out of place. Another thing is that the rigging of election is thwarting the will and pleasure of the majority. It is clear from history that Samuel Doe rigged the election. That means he disallowed the will of the people. And some people felt that they did not get justice. The justice then was that I think the Liberian Action Party won that election. That was the will of the people, and that was not allowed by Samuel Doe. So some people went into the butchers, the likes of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, or what's his name, Prince Johnson, and many others. They brought the war, they persecuted the war. Liberians died. Again, that is people not getting justice and taking matter into their own hands. So it's a dangerous thing for the courts to be compromised and for people rights to not be respected and for the rule of law to not be used as a foundation for us to have a functioning society. Failure on that will bring chaos on the country. And I don't want to go into the issue of corruption. I will stop that far because when I open that bowl, I will not close it.
Thank you, Mr. C. Well, that leads into the case with Mr. Cummings, the most current case, along with what's in the public. We're not going to act like we didn't hear or we didn't see it. We're not going to ignore it because these are some of the conversations that we're having about the Judiciary Branch of Government. Based on the allegation, what would you say? Did the Solicitor General and the witness in person, Mr. I think Theodore Momo, did they commit crime? If in fact this was truth, that they took away some of the evidence, because that has not been disputed by the government so far. That has not been disputed. One of the only concerns that the government has laid is the fact that the ANC accepted that evidence from the get-go. So what say both of you? Ciao.
I mean, it is not for us to determine if crime was committed. I mean, only the court, can determine that. I mean, from the get-go, I do have, I did and still have some concerns with the SG. Just his professional output, if I may say. Just the way he's handling this case, the way he carried himself. far from professional standards, far from ethical standards, before we even go into the evidence and the handling of the evidence and all of that. I mean, I have never seen, whether here or there, to see a lawyer or even a prosecuting judge or attorney carry out the way this man carry out himself, whether it be his actions, whether in his words, whether in his writing. I have never seen, and I've been here around long enough. I mean, I don't even want to call my age, and I don't mind doing that. But I've been around long enough to know that. How can you be persecuting your kids and you take to the media and you're discussing all this case? You're talking about it. You're talking about some of the facts of the case, which is a violation in itself. You know, even by even his board standards. Steve, we got, you know, well, we all carry professional license. I probably carry about 5 or 7 of those. We are guided by professional standards, other than our own upbringing or what we see is right or wrong. How can you, by professional standards, come in the public and speak like this and speak about the evidence of a case? That's a no-no. Whether here or there, that's a no-no. I'll tell you something. Even a few years ago, I was still witness in a sexual violence case here. And we dared not talk to anybody about the facts of that case. We were constantly reminded about it, whether on meetings, you know, or in person. Never. We could say whatever, everything else, but we could not discuss any part of that case until that case was over. And this man knows that not only because of America, he knows that because American law not any different from Liberia. Why will you be discussing and what gets me even the most, however the case is, even if, let's just say, worst case, Mr. Cummings is guilty, the case have not gone through the full circle of the prosecution process. Why are you defining his punishment in the open? And you know, I listened to this little clip and what he was saying, whoever, when the school closing again, when the school opening, then the school hurry, then the kids make it finish, man, so they make it go to the classroom. Who talks like that? Especially of that status. Who talk like that? Why will you even be saying that? So I am concerned about this man. I am concerned. I don't even understand why is he, because this is not his first, not his second, not his third, not his fifth. I don't understand. I don't know if the Cummings people have, you know, reported about this. Again, at Liberia, I don't know what they can do about it. Is that in America, that should be off that case in the same day. He will be off. He will be reported to the board. I mean, his trouble will just be too plenty. So I don't know, but at Liberia, I don't know. But I want to twist a little bit because, like you said, it was a crime committed. In my opinion, I don't know, because there's an allegation there that you know, some things were extracted from the evidence. But I'm concerned also, though. I'm concerned as far as on the other side, because we're tussle with tussle. The SGO, no telling, he's unprofessional. I mean, even here writing, I just read his response before this case. You know, I mean, before we came on this show. I mean, the tone, the language. Steve, you and I are free. You know, we got some wiggle room to write and talk a certain way. But when you reach to a certain, you know, standard or, you know, certain expectation, that's just much you cannot do. I read this main thing, and I'm just like, holy cow. Look at the choices of words coming from the Solicitor General of Liberia. My people, your whole country, my mom country. Look at the tune. Anybody see this? And then let me switch to ANC people, because, you know, talking about the evidence, I saw the WhatsApp message. It begs for more question, because the ANC, you know, that's one of the reasons why I went to watch Spoon. I don't watch my former friends and my brothers on Spoon talk no more. That friendship chocolate a long time ago, so I don't watch it. But I do go there, like that, to support what we want to discuss now. I watch it because they do the same thing. We all watch Focus on Liberia, you know, Front Page Africa, other news outlets, just to support our, you know, other shows that Focus on Liberia, other shows, just to support our discussion. So I had to go there to support this discussion, and I listened to the lawyer. And guys and viewers, I was disappointed too with the lawyer. Mr. Combs needs to step up his game. If you pay a lawyer, even in America, if you pay a lawyer to represent you, yourself you need to be on top of your game too. This lawyer was giving this document. I saw this. I saw it. Okay. According to him, there were some information missing for 2 pieces of the document. You were giving this document 2 weeks ago. Did you not review it? And if you review it thoroughly, which you should do, why didn't you write the court, write the judge, write the other party to say, we have some concerns here? You receive it the day of the hearing, I mean the day that because he said it, I'm not going off what Spoon said, he said it. They received the document. So receiving means acknowledgement of it, not reading the content, but acknowledging that you received. Because in any hearing, whether here or there, they both sides got to exchange evidence before the hearing. I've been through 3, 4, 5 cases in America. I know how they happen. They got to exchange all the evidence. So he saw it. They gave it to him. Okay, you had about 2, 3 weeks to review this before yesterday. And he said he saw some issues. So you waited until the day of to come talk about the things that you had concern with. If you were representing me, I got some problem with you. And Mr. Cummings, let me say this to Mr. Cummings before I let you run. Mr. Cummings, maybe that your first lawsuit, I doubt it. But even when we pay lawyers millions of dollars or whatever it is to represent us, we must do our own due diligence, our own due care. Yourself need to shine your oju. Shine your apple. Look at all the evidence yourself. You see me? Shine it. When they give it to your lawyer, yourself review it. Question your lawyer's actions and question the documents. Because if yourself were looking at it, you would have seen the missing gap. And you would have said, well, where's the missing gap here? And you would have talked to them to the follow. Some of the lawyers are lazy. Some of them, they don't want to do the extra work because they try to collect the money and want the easy way out. And it appears to me, however smart they say the lawyer is, and he sounds like a smart person, but I think he was very lazy in handling this. Because you know what? He would have put this foot a long time ago when he realized, after he gave him that document 2, 3 weeks ago, apply to it more than once. How long does it take you to realize that there's a gap between July 2nd and July 9th? It doesn't take you long. It's glaring right there. Any reasonable person will look at it and say, well, why is there a gap between July 9th? Was there a conversation or not? Okay, let me compare what my client gave me. Or even if you compare it, then you should have reported it, whether to the, to the SU or to the court. That work, that reactive work that they're doing now should have been done 2 weeks ago, a week ago, and all of that. Which leads me to my final point when I made a point on this show here. And I'm ready for the question today. My final point on this show, when I said that, when I said that, it is, I understand the laws of Liberia said that, we shouldn't, that no cameras in the court. But even in this great America, just moving violation, the hearings are recorded. And for a criminal government like that government over there, they may even try the case. Yeah, they have not even gone to discovery stage yet. I'm speaking pure Liberian English. We're not going to American English today. They even try the case. They may already not define your punishment. Then you turn around. You all say you ain't want no court. You ain't want no camera in the court. If the camera were in the court, for us to hear all of this, see all of this, don't you think that would have saved some of the headache? Don't you think it would have saved some of the headache? Because now it is your word against my word and the newspaper word, and every time information leaves from me to Steve is watered down. There's some modification to it. There's something by me for Steve to answering. There's some changes, hand to hand, hand to hand. But when everybody view it at the same time, it's even better. It's better. I understand the court doesn't allow for it, but you know what? The court can make exception. So given the circumstances, given the people you're dealing with, it was okay. Even if the law doesn't allow it, to say, you know what? I want a hearing. I want a televised. Get the world be watching it. And first of all, I didn't do anything. 2, I want the world to see this kind of government that we have here. So for me, I mean, all ends, like I said, in all, I know I said a lot, but in all, I think, of course, this Solicitor General is just unprofessional to say the least. But Cummings' lawyer did not do care. They did not do care. And now what they're doing now is being reactive. And it's not wrong for what they're doing, but I think that should have been caught a long time ago. And it's a right for the judge to hear them, because if the judge don't hear them, you're stepping on my right. I told you I got some concerns that you don't want to hear me. You must hear me. I don't care how foolish I sound. You must hear my concerns. So the judge will hear them. But I think this is a wake-up call for him. You know, some lawyers can be lazy. And I think in that instance, Cummings' lawyers were lazy. They did not pay much care to the evidence. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Tom. And indeed, you made some very valid points here that both sides can learn from or can listen to your argument. But let's hear from Anthony here, please.
Steve, this is legal issue here that we're discussing. And I want to first of all submit that we are not the right people for this discussion. But at the same time, it is our right as citizens, to discuss what is ongoing. For a fact is that the mere fact is that the case here is a political case, but it having to be legal as well. You asked the question whether or not if this particular piece of information was extracted, is that a crime? The answer is simple, yes. When you take away a piece of information that is material to an investigation, there's a reason why you are taking it out. Maybe that it will either show that another person is innocent, or on the other hand, that the person is not innocent. So you have an intention, a reason for doing that. According to some lawyers, that is evidence tampering. You are tampering with evidence, and that is a crime, right? Now, going further into this, talking about Cummings' legal team taking this long before they can bring it to the public attention, we don't know what they are doing. Whether or not it's a strategy at this point, or they are saying it now because they have just come to realize it. It could be one of the other. We have a justice forum going on Focus on Liberia. We always
sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but the lawyer has said that he didn't have the time to go through the evidence. That's what he said on Spoon, not my words.
Thank
you. He didn't have the time. How can you be dealing with a high-profile case like this? You were giving evidence for 2 weeks and say you don't have the time to go through it? Mr. Cummings should be concerned about that.
Thank you, and I agree with you. Cummings should be concerned because as highly political as this case is, this is a big case because the implication here that this case has a potential or propensity to get Cummings into jail. He can lose this case, and there can be further ramification if and when he loses this case. So if this man hire you as a lawyer, you have to do your due diligence by reading the entire document, right? So as to establish what the facts are, what you can use to your advantage so that you can be able to win this particular case. The prosecution team, they have not been able to come with sufficient evidence as yet. They are saying Cummings should produce a document. We heard from lawyer that is a tactic that is legal, that it can be done, that the one who is being persecuted to bring a particular document, and then they can use it against the person that, hey, you produce this document and we are using it against you. That is when they bring evidence in court from the one who is being persecuted, it carries a lot of weight. That is the strategy that they are using. So for us who are non-lawyers, there are a lot of technicalities that we are not aware. Something I was about to say that Cabinet Janet said, that in Liberia, he said most of the lawyers, what they do is they wait on court day and they come to display that they have the ability to use words to quote one and few laws here and there. And he said that is a big problem in Liberia, that they're supposed to gather their evidence, evaluate the evidence, and if possible, meet the opposing party, you understand? And for them to almost like have a pre-trial. It will help you and put you in the position to see where you are weak. When you show up in court now, you know why you have, you know why you don't have. But he said in this case in Liberia, the lawyer shows us to court using all the legal jargon, whether it's related to that case or not, just to prove that it's a lawyer. He said that is a big problem in Liberia. And he said that is one of the reasons why some of these cases can drag on and on and on. So to conclude, I would say that the Cummings lawyers, I'm not sure they're doing a better job yet. I mean, by their own admittance that they don't read the entire document. That's the reason why you were hired, to read about this case, to look at every evidence there is and be able to fight using what you have. But to admit that you have not done so, if I were Cummings, I'll be making a decision to fire them. But, sometimes it's easier said than done because we are not in the room. We don't know how far they've come. And maybe getting a new lawyer, that lawyer now have to take time to read the document and it will follow prolong. So it's easier said than done. But again, that was a big minus on the part of that lawyer. I'm not sure Cummings is even going to trust them as much as he would love to, given what he said.
Okay, well, again, it's most times we've heard people say we're not lawyers or we're not legal practitioner. Truth, we're not. But there are some things also that are common sense that we can speak to, for our layman understanding, regardless of whether it was a political case or legal case or so forth. There are some things the public can be knowledgeable of and can speak about that. Now, again, it left with them from a legal standpoint to use their legal terminologies, legal jargons, or whatever it is, or legal means to clarify it for us, the public, or to say we'll go this way, like they can say, this one is subjected to interpretation by the Supreme Court, subjected to interpretation by this group or that group. But from what I'd heard, and this is one side of the story, the counselor said yesterday, Sila, and also I also listened to what's his name this morning, Alosha Stoll. Before I get into my next question, is this: apparently they did not have the time in the court to read the document when it was given to them in the court. It was yesterday when they went to the court that it provided this concern to the judge. However, also, Tel made a good point that either ways these documents should be looked at and browsed through or so forth. That's critically important for any document. But also, it's also been said that yesterday was when they find out that the document that the Solicitor General and the witness submitted to the court is different from the one that they gave them. So that's, this is a very tricky, sticky, funny, messy situation we are in here. But either way, like Tel said, and like you were saying, at the end of the day, we listen to what the judge has to say, because the judge has said he is looking into it and investigating this to see what the ruling would be. But here is something I wanted to ask both of you, but I will read something from our penal law to ensure that this fall into context so we're not thrown off. Because I don't want to throw questions off that will not be reasonable or have some common sense in it for us to just rely on a judiciary branch of government or lawyers or judges. I want us to be able to put our own interpretation or sense of understanding to it. Should this case be dismissed? This is the question. Should the case against Mr. Alexander Cummings be dismissed if this is proving by all fact that something was changed or altered let me go in my Euro voice. Dubiously, maliciously. Should this case be thrown out if it is proving that the Solicitor General and this witness, the star witness, Mr. Momo, if both of them knowingly, dubiously, maliciously alter the document. But let me read something for our penal law before you answer this question. When you read the penal law 12.32, it talks about general provision for perjury and false statement. This is what it states. Number one, materially, falsification is a material regardless of the admissibility of the statement under the rule of evidence. If it could have affected the course of the outcome of the official proceeding or the deposition of the matter in which the statement is made, whether falsification is material in a given factual situation is a question of law. It is no defense that the declarant mistakenly believe that a falsification to be immaterial. So I want to make sure I read that to all of us. Should this case be dismissed if this is proving that Serena, based on what we just read, if it is proven that Serena Cephas indeed and this guy indeed knowingly, dubiously tried to change or falsify the document or that evidence within this case, because this could make or break the case as well. This is critically important. What do you guys think based on what you just heard?
So let me go there. First, I need to point this out. Most times we don't, when I say we, just general us, not on this show per se or in this context, but we don't hear things for ourselves. It takes one person run with a line on face, but we all run with it.
Right.
I want to clearly state here, I've got to see someone going crazy in the chat room there, which is fine. The lawyer was very clear. That's why I listened to Spoon this morning and watched the show. He was very clear. He said they handed him the evidence a few weeks ago. The judge handed it to him. This very evidence that's in question a few weeks ago. And it doesn't mean that he had to read it right there. He acknowledged he received it. He didn't have the chance to go through all of it. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? He was handed a few weeks ago. He chose to go through it in the courtroom or at the time that he chose. And he was very clear also. He noticed there was some material evidence or material pieces that were missing. So if you knew it was missing, you wait until the hearing date to talk about it. We need to look at that. Those are his words. I wish you listen, Steve or anybody else can listen to that. The people that who's on there. But to the stuff you mentioned, Steve, if, say, Mr. Momo, whoever the name is, if they found out that, he's not truthful or the evidence is tampered with or, whatever it is, that doesn't mean the case is dismissed. That's just one of many witnesses. You throw the evidence out, you throw that witness out of the room, and you go to the next one. You go down the chain until the case is fully tried. We all have seen in jury trial. They eliminate people, they add people for whatever reason. So why should one person determine because of this one person so the case is finished? We ain't even reached nowhere yet. No, that's one of what, 12 or 50 people? So why should we end the case? No, the case has to go through the full circle.
And tell, I didn't add this part of the question because I know Sonny we answer this part of the question also. Should Serena Cephas also be prosecuted for this? Knowingly doing this?
Well, we don't know if there's a crime, but again, Steve,
that's what I'm saying now.
But let's just say hypothetically. I mean, exactly. Serena Cephas should be off this case like yesterday. I've said it so many times on this show. On Spoon TV, my friends and my brother, my former friends and my brother think Serena Cephas is the most professional and the best lawyer in Liberia.
Who your former friends and your
My
brother?
former friends, they say I got few friends on that panel. I mean, few brothers on that chat on that panel, but my former friends.
Okay, but who are you calling your former friend? Because we don't know what you're talking about. We play a song here. No, we play a song here. Find a friend like me.
Yeah, my former friend. But that's the issue. Please stop your
No, you're not going to do that to Otel. You just came out, you have in your back. All your boys then buy. All your suitors then got who let you them pay fast.
My former friends also.
Who are they? No, I got the names.
Don't like you to see Rusty.
No, but I got a serious name. Who they name?
No names there. I said small panelists. You know that. Everybody know all of them. I know all of them.
Also, you got former friends and all.
Yeah, my former friends. But my brother still with me. And some of them are brothers to me. Like, somebody still my brother. Yeah, you know. Somebody still my brother. Even though we get to Kutaka, he's still my brother. So, but anyway, no, on a serious note. So the thing here, now Stevie not throw me off, man. No. Why should we put me by yourself? The guy now you got me all water up. You think
so it was about Serena Seafood.
I mean, so serious. So like yeah.
Well.
Thank you for
he faced some charges for doing this.
Yeah. So the thing about it, Serena Seafood should be off this case like a long time ago. Even not for tampering with evidence, so to speak. If that's the sort of he should have been off this case for not being objective, by being unethical, by being unprofessional. He should have been off this case. Cummings' lawyer again, that Liberia. So I don't expect anything better out of there. But if that was here, he should have been off that case. Long time from the moment he spoke, one time about, oh, this man, this is his punishment. He should have been off because there is no way this man will give me fair trial. I don't care if I take the best lawyer. I cannot trust Serena Sivas to give me justice or give me fair trial. And that's the basis for him to leave and let it get another judge, what else, whether it be Musa Dean or anybody else. I think Musa Dean would have been way better than this man. I can bet my neck Musa Dean would have been way better than Serena Sivas. It's just a total mess. It's a disgrace. Even for a child or somebody who wants to be a lawyer or whatever it is, this is just a bad example all around. All around, bad example. So he should have been off. Whether evidence temporary or not, he should be off and should have been off. That is no question, no even if and then about it. He should have been off. This is the best lawyer Liberia got to bring? This is the best lawyer? This is the best prosecutor? Is that what they're telling us?
So far, CDC has proven that this is the best because, according to you, maybe you don't recall his name, Stephen Wilson. He states on his platform that every time he says it, I still find it to make sense of his sense of reasoning in that direction. Either he's saying it deliberately because he's a calm man, he wants to align with him men, or he's just a bad person as Serena speaks. But that's the only reason he'll be saying such things in public when he knows the facts. He knows better not to say that, whether in public or in private. He knows Serena Seafood's records. He knows it. It's not a hidden secret. He knows that Serena Seafood is a criminal. When you come in public and you want to put this defense of a criminal, and the sad part about it, I see some Liberians, some ANC members, some seditians are hailing this kind of nonsense spewing from Stanton Witherspoon. It just speaks of himself too as a person. You know what I mean? So, I mean, out of big understand, I know you don't want to call your name, but I can call your name.
Well, I can pass it on you know me, man. Steve,
I don't shy away from that.
I just don't want to make them the focus of the conversation because we got other important things to talk about. I don't want to make them a subject.
I agree with you, but it's very disgraceful to hear him say that. Every time he says that, people who even acknowledge those nonsense when he says it, Dr. Francine is on there. The first thing I'll be calling him to box, to tell him he should stop, cut the crap out, and get serious. He cannot be saying that Serena Seafood is this other lawyer, that other lawyer. But again, you make sense.
Francine, if you mention Francine openly said on the show that her two besties are Miguel and Serena Seafood. So you expect her to call her bestie out? No way. That was after the trip now. She said it. Those are her two new besties. And she said it with a smile. So let's move on. Let's talk about the thing with that.
Asuni, the question to you.
And I guess the question is, should the case be thrown out?
Yes, and should Serena Seafood also be liable or prosecuted?
Serena Seafood be persecuted, given the way he conducted himself throughout this case, and the other piece, whether or not he is a good lawyer or one of the best lawyers in Liberia. Steve, let me start with the political aspect of it. Stanton said Serena Sifa is one of the best lawyers in Liberia ever. If that statement is true, and I know he said something along the line, but whether exactly that he's one of the best lawyers in Liberia ever, he has a reason. And if Stanton is saying Serena Sifa is one of the best lawyers in Liberia when it comes to prosecuting political cases in favor of a government that he's working for, I would say yes. He is one of the best lawyers when it comes to persecuting individuals that the government sees or finds or things, are like a political enemy to them. Serena Sifa was instrumental in Cabinet Janet case. Cabinet Janet was removed. He got the job done. Serena Sifa has never been active in any case that we know, apart from the Cabinet Janet case, other than this Cummings case. There is a case that has been going on, right? The NEC boss was indicted by LSCC. The case went to court on allegation of money laundering, conflict of interest, violation of the LACC Act, what they call PPCC, the Code of Conduct, and so many laws. All right. Where is Serena Sifa in that case? We can't see him. We can't hear anything from him. He was very active in the Cabinet Ghana case. He's very active in the Cummings case. He works for President Weah. And by the way, the Cabinet Ghana case lended him this particular job that he's doing. He is serving President Weah. He wants to prove that whatever President Weah wants to see done in the court, but from the political side, he is the guy to get it done, not even Musa Dean. Musa Dean is a coward. He was disrespected by a little man like Jefferson Koji. Nothing came from out of it. Can you imagine Koji went and blasted Musa Dean? Musa Dean had nothing to say. That is to tell you that Serena Sifa has to play by the rules of President Weah to be on the right side with him so that he can be a man of consequence in this particular government. So I believe that was what Stanton was talking about. I don't think Stanton was talking about the law. I don't think Stanton was talking about the fair dispensation of justice. I don't think Stanton was talking about the man conducting himself as a legal practitioner in the public space. I doubt that. How come? This guy, we heard him talking about human hairs, virgin hairs, and all that. That guy cannot be, the best when it comes to the practice of law. And I will hasten to say I may be wrong because I'm not a lawyer. I'm just using my lenses as a non-lawyer, all right, to give my opinion on what I see. So I may be wrong, but I very strongly doubt. Now, there's the temptation to say that, oh, this man, the way he conducted himself, having press conferences, issuing statements, about a case that is ongoing in which he is the government lawyer. To that, I would say, for example, this Anthony or Benjamin Crumb, who represents most of the high-profile or racial cases in America. We see him on CNN. We see him on MSNBC. He's talking to the media. He's talking about what he will do, what is ongoing, what is not right with the cases that, he's fighting for and the clients that he's representing. He's talking. He's not only talking in court, he's talking to the media. So if some people are saying, oh, this man is not a good lawyer because he's talking about the case to the press, he issuing statement and all that, I disagree. What he says is what matters, and sometimes how he says it. And that is the problem with this particular Solicitor General. The things he said that are material, how he already announced the judgment and the penalty, that is unprofessional. Because this man is now found guilty yet, he's like concluding the case. He's assuming that the case is a foregone conclusion that Cummings is guilty. That tells you the man is on a mission. He has a goal here, and he has a mission to accomplish here for his bosses. And the way to assure them that he's on his A game is to tell them, hey, this is what's going to come. But let me say this. And for me, I'm going to dwell on the political side because the law in the manner area, I'm a buffoon when it comes to the issue of the law. I'm not a lawyer. I would never be one because I don't have interest in. So, Steve, the political side here also is, how come Cummings is where he is today? Cummings chose to do business with people he should not have done business with in the first place. Cummings wants to go against President Weah. President Weah is threatened by any stronger opponent. He knows what he's doing, and he knows that whoever succeeds him might audit him and persecute him. So he does not want to leave power. There are two persons, from what we know, are more likely, you understand, to succeed him. Either will be Mr. Bwaka or it will be Mr. Cummings. The best way to defeat these people is to first of all get them out of the race. That's the easiest and best race, because keeping them in the race, they stand a chance. So he's using this opportunity that Cummings brought on himself to nail him in the coffin in the court. That is the political side. So we can talk about the unfairness, the legal tactics that's being used here, and we can go on and on. We cannot be the one to decide the case. It is the judge that will decide the case, and that brings me to my final point. The penal code that you read earlier is simple. It's talking about falsification. And followed down, the other thing it said is that only in the court. In other words, it's saying that only the judge, only in the court, whether something is falsified or not, it is the sitting judge that will make that determination that this particular document was falsified. He will make that determination. The one who is party to the case can present that falsification, and it will be examined legally during the trial. And when it is established that that particular piece of evidence, has been falsified, that determination will be made by the judge, and it will form part of that judge's decision in that particular case. That is what the penal code says. So anybody can falsify it. That is a crime. But again, in the case, only the sitting judge going to make that determination. But it is material enough for the lawyer representing a client, in this case Cummings, to make the case that this document was falsified or something was extracted. And I think that is what the Cummings side doing. So it's left with the judge now to evaluate that piece of evidence and make a determination.
Well, thank you, Mr. C.
What you trying to say? You just interview us today.
Well, what I have to say is I don't have much to say, to be honest. I want to say this to the Cummings camp, and I've said it more than once. The people you are dealing with, they do not understand diplomacy. They don't get it. They don't get that message. The people you are dealing with, they don't understand cool, calm, collective. They don't. They don't. They do not. They are bold-faced criminals, shameless, unrepentant crooks that are willing to do anything and everything to stay in power. The disgraced Cabinet Journey. Up until now, Cabinet Journey on a case, similar thing happened most recently to what he named Bernie Samuka. They use the law. They say, oh, our law say this, our law say that. You stop this nonsense. These guys have made up their mind to convict you, as evidenced by Serena Cephas coming in public and making it look like it's a joke. And I doubt that even if they were to convict you, it will be restricted to this whole going to the school and teaching. The end goal is to get you out of this race. You'll stop fooling around. These guys are criminal. They understand one language. Speak the language they understand. When you speak that language, they will fall in line. You don't even have to talk about going to court again. So money they will put aside together. These guys will not stop. They will not stop. They will push it. You have to let them know that you are man and you don't fool around. They can carry that nonsense somewhere else. They can bring it to you. If you keep saying, let the law take its course, let the law take its course, the law will take its course. In the hands of these criminals, there is no law. I'm saying it today. There is no law. The CDC don't respect law. The United Party never respected law. These guys don't respect the law. You better use what you have at your disposal and deal with these criminals. You'll go into it. You'll forget about all the proceedings, all the things that get noise. It's not going nowhere. At the end of the day, the people are already telling you, the surrogates are around telling you that it will convict you. Whether you go to the sky, you come out, you'll be convicted. You all keep fooling around. Me, I don't fool around. You do certain things, I handle you a certain way. You come a certain way, I handle you a certain way. This is not time for professionalism. I keep saying this thing to you over. I don't know what language you want for me to speak. It's not time for professionalism. It is not time for professionalism. These guys want to create noise in the country. Y'all create noise. I'm saying it today. If y'all want to turn me anyway, y'all turn me like that. I'm saying it today. These guys want the country to be noisy. Y'all make it unbearable for them as well. You will see. They'll put aside together. But you're passing around all the diplomacy. You're wasting your time. You're wasting other people's time. And nothing is moving the country. And you think this is going to end up with all the people will do the right thing. And we're hoping the judges will do the right thing. And they will rule the right way. Y'all keep wasting your time, yeah? Y'all keep wasting your time. We'll come around again. We'll talk the same thing. These guys will go ahead and incriminate you on bogus charges. If you don't put your foot down now, it needs to be now. Not tomorrow, not day after tomorrow. You don't treat criminals and crooks with professionalism and diplomacy. They don't understand that language. These guys don't understand that language. They don't understand diplomacy. I'm saying it, and y'all keep fooling around. Y'all continue, yeah. Y'all keep running around in cycles. Y'all keep running around in cycles, yeah. But these guys will not stop. They will not relent. That is my only thing I can tell you. Even if it was proven today, they will not do nothing with that case. Y'all watch. Y'all will see the ruling of the judge. Y'all watch. Y'all will see the ruling of the judge. For you to know that this is serious. Y'all pass around that diplomat. They be speaking BB Bo, be reading BB Bo. You think the criminal they got time for that thing? They got time for that thing. They don't respect the rule of law. They don't respect it. The only language you may not understand. Give it back to them. The same way they do it to you. 50-50. When y'all handle it, they'll put themselves together. I'm saying there's no professionalism. When y'all handle it, y'all drag it. Once y'all drag it for a couple of weeks in that time, they will behave. You will see how they will act. All of them see what they just that bunch of scary cats. So you get like serious. Yes,
Steve, usually by this time I leave to go look for my living. So permit me to...
Yeah, let's do your closing statement and we'll take calls. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So we started with this use of a word that we all agree should not have been used because of the sensitivity attached to it. And maybe on the other end, we can say that the words were used with a great deal of insensitivity. It has a negative connotation. We should not be using it because it is not the most appropriate word to use, given the connotation it has in our community. But I will also say the war was strategically used and intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
In political communication, you said it, Steve, and you are right, that choice of words do matter. There's a reason somebody will use the word butcher when someone is killed as compared to saying murder, as compared to saying kill, right? There's a reason the person will choose that word because when we hear the word butcher, it creates this graphical image or images in our minds. It tells how cruel the act of killing was done. If
Mm-hmm.
you say murder, it's similar, but of
Right.
less, graphical connotation.
I agree.
Kill can be done mistakenly and all that. So that word, the way it was used, it was to project an innate anger in a side, to project that that side is bad because this is what they have done. And what they've done is similar to what bad people do to good people when they are violating them. That was the reason it was used. And again, it was done on purpose and it was done strategically, to diminish and made the other side to look so bad. And if you look at it politically, that's what politicians do. You're fighting by using words, using descriptions so that you look good and the other side look bad. But I
Well,
maintain.
Anthony, though,
Mhm.
Anthony, I mean, I agree with you on that, but also the person that is coming from, this is a person that got gone to the neck of Kev Hassan and to the neck of Karen Costa for
Mhm.
using the same words in the
Mhm.
the same context to emphasize the same thing, the same
Right.
thing.
Mhm.
So there goes the double standard and the hypocrisy. You can't be
Exactly.
the one that got a gun to somebody's neck, but then you're doing the same thing that you got gone to somebody's neck for, or
Mhm.
or next to the throat for.
I agree 100% because I mean, you look at the insults that's coming from the character. We all are here and we hear that all the time. So you ask the question, should C4 be persecuted? Who's going to persecute him? That will be my closing on that. Who's going to persecute him? This current court that's being controlled by the government. So let leave it. I don't think he's going to get persecuted. If he will, maybe that future government, whether or not that future government will even have the boss, that's another story for you.
Hmm.
This case here is hurting Cummings seriously. It is impacting seriously his political chances in the
I
upcoming
agree.
elections. And I will close with this. The Cummings people now have to find a way to turn this, which is more of a political case, in his favor. That is what they have not been able to do. They have to find a way. How do we turn this thing in Cummings' favor? How can they do that? If they can find that way, and if this case comes to an end, maybe Cummings may be able to stick around politically and to the election. That is the greatest challenge that they have. How can they do it? They have to figure that out. And if they can figure that out, to turn this thing, this case in Cummings' favor and turn it against the government, to make the government and all those that are accusing Cummings to look back, if they cannot succeed with that narrative, by coming up with that strategy and launching that campaign. They've been trying to Trump all churches because they don't want coming. That is not enough. They still have not figured it out yet. It is their job to do so. And that's the only option they have. They can cry all they want. I see that the Senate comes to Wallasa, shaking people's hands and all that. It is part of the game, but it's not enough. There's a better way to do it. That is something, but that is so much insignificant. It is so minuscule. They have to find that way. And sometimes the best way to find that way is to talk to people who are not part of ANC. So let's say, idea. There are people that will be generous enough, do research on political cases that some politicians were able to emerge from and succeed in a political career. Look for those cases. Ask some lawyers. They are not doing it. They know AR and they know AR. And Mr. No AR will die like Mr. No AR. Thank you, Steve. Bye-bye.
Well, you tell me thank you.
Oh,
You see me?
lawyer friend.
You got so wrong.
My lawyer friend, and guess what? Guess what? I've been looking at the comments. Everybody commenting. Tavina is making a good point. Some people asking for your T-shirt and all that. How can I get one? I don't know why they're talking. It's coded, but I will leave it. Hey, Tavina, thank you. That was an oversight. Thank you.
I know.
But I appreciate the opportunity. You know how I feel about you.
I
You
know.
are a dear and loyal friend. I can never leave you out. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Catch up later.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm.
That was Anthony C. His contribution. Like I said from day one, y'all keep going in cycles. Look, y'all can go behind the hall, your toe. Y'all can go behind the hall, your pray. Y'all can go behind the hall, your do whatever. If you're not get to speak the criminal language, these guys, the language that they understand, you ain't going nowhere. They think we're not going nowhere. Once you speak that language, this guy will fall in line. Who got a West to loss? And that they don't want governing? They don't want governing. You're saying that you're jumping around, you're making it look as on a diplomatic contest. Y'all keep on. I'm begging you, y'all keep on, yeah? Tomorrow again, you might go to the court again. Y'all, the other one there. The other tomorrow, the other one there. Y'all been saying that.
Everybody ready plenty.
I mean, criminal so be on diplomacy or something. Look, so long I figure your language and language I will speak. Well, I'm being honest. Because that's the only way you understand me. That's the only way you will get my message. That's the only way you will get what I mean or what I'm saying. When I speak your language, that's the one you can understand. And you guys, and Dylan spoke that language one time. The drumming were around here. You saw anyone going to Dylan Riley again to go misbehave? No, they will never try because they know about no heaven low. Who tell you CDC not know what's up? They know what's up. Who tell you say that? Who tell you say that the criminal behavior and quirky attitude? Who told you they know ain't got limit? Ain't got limit. You just need to stand up to them. Once you stand up to them, they will back down. They will fall in line. You criminals that then you might be passing. That you also be running around Serena Silver here and there. You also be doing it. When you made a contract noise there, Serena Silver said, "Oh, put his head together." You will not even appear to court the next time again. But you're saying that you all kind of funny little shenanigans, you all kind of small games, and your team say it will benefit you. These guys, they see where they did to Brendan Samuka. They see where they did to what they got in Cabinet Janet. If you don't get serious, you got the resources you're saying I am making no, that you'll go do different thing, man. Nobody get time for that thing. If they, like I said, they might convey coming at your business. We don't get time for that one because you got the resources and you're saying that your own diplomacy, your team, the law will work for you when the criminal is in charge. That's another waste of time. Let me put the first caller here. I got a caller.
You open the line?
Yeah, we open the line. I got a first caller here already.
Number now.
Yes, I put in the number out here. Please, that number is pinned out there. And that's my view, yeah. That's my view. And I'm taking it back. There is no way I will take it back. I mean what I say here today, or I will say it tomorrow. The criminal don't deserve no diplomacy. Y'all get serious. Y'all get to the issue. That's not speaking in code. Y'all get to the issue, man. Who say we get time for that? Y'all get to the issue. Yeah, caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Man, Priscilla Montman from Minneapolis as usual.
Yes, my man. What's going on? What's your input on all the noise?
A little bit today. I hope you get another line because this is just too much to unpack.
No, you only got 1 minute. You got 1 minute.
Anthony, you see that one of the reasons I listen to the Focus on like real show because Anthony, he very kind of methodical when it comes to making analysis. He always impartial. And for the first time today, I think you and Anthony really laid it on his head. You don't apply legal logic in a criminal wage fund case.
Yep.
It makes absolutely no sense. Steve Bullock, I call on the US Simple County show more than 10 times. I lay a simple premise. In our society, we don't do logic. I told you, don't do logic in school. You can take a high school student from this country that is not that smart academically. You put him in a real world situation. He can run circles around somebody from Liberia with 2 master's degrees. It's not because he's smarter. It's just that in this society, they teach you how to think. I told you from day one, the man who made the discovery, the Benedict Urey case. Benedict Urey was chairman before Cummings became chairman of the CPP. Every legal document that came into being, it came from Benedict Urey before Cummings. I told you from day one. Bernard Ure didn't wake up one morning and made out of some mysterious means to find discrepancy in a document. Even if he succeeded in doing that, to find discrepancy in the document, it means you have two versions of that document to make comparison and contrast. So for him saying that they don't have the original answer, it makes no goddamn logic. And it was the same thing that the communist people just discovered. You got two chat rooms, the CPP National Advisory chat room that was created under communists in 2020, and the AOL chat room that was created under Bernard Ure. Now, they just discovered that shifts and certain information were extracted. Can you imagine? Almost like you're making this case of a projection, I committed a crime, and I tell people that Steve Bowler is the one that committed that crime. That way, it takes the focus from on me and places on you. That's what they call projection strategy.
Right.
If this guy is saying that Comey extracted document, and now we're getting to know that, no, this document were extracted from you, bro. That's a projection strategy, and that's what we're coming to. Serena Seaforth, if this government, we all know what the case is all about. This case is about getting comments out of 2023, whether you like it or not. That's just the fact. That's why Serena Seaforth, how do you go to court and tell the accused to present evidence? That's why I say, if an evidence existed, these people would have presented it a long time ago. All these diplomats say, and you bringing people using legal analysis, are like, you're dealing with a criminal cartel. How do you apply legal logic to a criminal cartel? The first government in the history of mankind to remove or setting associate justice for political gains. And you're telling me a guy like Cummings is going to go against the cartel and win in the court of law legally? You must be joking. The same thing like you said, it happened with Brandon Samuka. The same crime Brandon Samuka committed is exactly what Samuel Twain and other people dealing with the administration, but illegally taking monies from the account of international partners that they have to threaten the Republic of Liberia that if you don't replace our money, we will bring aid to Liberia. And you're telling me that a man that was voted who was women by his people, today he cannot occupy his seat. And you're telling me a guy like Cummings can succeed? Man, this thing got to be a joke. Cummings got to play hardball. That's why the guys understand when you're dealing with criminals, you don't use logic against criminals.
No.
That doesn't work. Look, you see, that one of the narrative the guys keep coming up with. You see, when you live in poverty, you don't pay attention to a lot of things. If you can observe the whole Liberian political arena, only few people in Liberia pay attention to politics. The vast majority of the time, people in the diaspora are the one that follow every little thing that happen in Liberia. So what they do, they know that you are aware of things that are going on over there. So what I tell you, the people in the diaspora are always causing war. The people from the diaspora are always the one that inciting violence because they know things that people will accept in Liberia. You and myself will not just sit here and accept it.
But please wrap it all out. Get plenty of costs.
Anyway, let me let you go for now. Anyway, it's just too much to unpack, like I said, and we're not already making the case. I've been on the program, of course. So we're gonna take a break, but anyway, let me just.
Yeah, please hang on, Cyrus. Anything will call you back. I beg you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, I think I got one or two calls there. Somebody calling your 50th time. I told you, I said I will call you back. The way the phone is routed, I can't call you directly. So hold on, I'll call you back. Yes.
Hey, Steve.
Yes, what's your name? Where you calling from, please? Make your point. You got 1 minute.
Well, okay. Thank you for calling me back. I'm calling from the DMV. This is Letty. I'm very happy with your topic today, and Anthony said all that I ever thought about. But Mr. Cummings only has 2 people that he listens to in the ANC. That runs the ANC. Only 2 people.
You mind telling us?
And who are the 2?
Cheese and stuff like that.
You mind telling us the 2 people?
Steve, excuse me. I will tell it to you after.
Okay.
I will tell it to you.
All right, no problem.
Those are the only 2 people, and those are the 2 people who will either make or break his presidency. And until he learns that, that's all we can do. You have CEOs, you have the chief of person in Liberia who is saying nothing, getting free pay. You got the deputy chief of staff getting free pay. They're not doing nothing. But the deputy chief of staff, I admired him when he was running JNB campaign in 2017. And I saw the tenacity in that boy, and I saw the zeal in that boy. Where is it today? They're getting free money. That boy is making the money he never made before. He's getting free money. And he was recommended by one of the strategists of Cummings. So Hey,
Well,
they will either make or break Cummings' presidency, but we will continue to do what we're doing. I thank you all for bringing this to light, and I will give you the names. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Well, the Cummings strategy, they need to rethink it. Call what's your name? Where you calling from? You got 1 minute. Who call you? Call with noise. We discussing. See what here you call with noise. You been calling. Like the thing that I can do that on there.
Who's that, Jonah? That Jonah?
I don't even know that who the other person. But the person that call with heavy noise. The person that calling.
I take the earpiece.
You can call with noise, my man or my sister. Let this. So let me tell you something. It is good that Levy is from the ANC camp. Hold on 1 second. Call her. I will call her. This caller. They call her. You see, they call her that serious. They call her won't bring noise on the show, but I laugh. But tell, I'm glad that she called. Let me say this to maybe. So some of you who have been claiming that we are Cummings agent, we are pay agent, we coming speaking, we coming some, we coming this. I want you to ask ANC people. I challenge you. You go ask ANC people. You ask Cummings. If I send from there, it's not possible. No, it's not possible. I have told the ANC people I have fundamental disagreement with them. And I've called Cummings, I've called him out here. I'm saying the way they are proceeding with the case, if they continue like that, they own it. And there is no other way I can say it. No other way. And I get nowhere to say I used to lie to people of food, and that's not true. The truth of this matter is they will have to take this bull by the horn. Meet CDC are where they are on the field. Speak CDC language, y'all will be fine. Trust me, y'all will be fine. In the next 2-3 weeks, man, y'all will not even hear about the case when again. It will just be they'll be talking about something different. But you'll sit down there, you'll keep fooling yourself, and you'll keep going back and forth and coming. Tell what will be your advice to your ANC people, your ANC brother and sister, then, because I know they're friending ANC. What are you laughing for? You got Google friending ANC.
Well, I mean, who would better put it in their own partisan? I mean, Levy said it all. That's their own people, So hear it from your own and take heed. I don't have much to say.
Yeah, I get different way I can
say. Everything I have to say, I've said it all. I mean, it's there to take cues from here, there, yonder, and do what is in their best interest. But as it is, it doesn't look good for them. So we all know that. So it's time to re-strategize if they want to win. Everybody's in there to win. So may the best team win. That's all I can say. My dear, it's 2:00 today, Saturday. Yeah, let's call it a day and go take
the people happy to see you rushing for that again. I can see all that. I said some men I see for a while today. Wow.
Yeah. But if nobody's calling, then...
No, but I gotta call. I'm calling Sarah's back. Sarah's making a point. Okay. I know you get Sarah hard time today, but let me call Sarah back and allocate you maybe 2 more minutes and
that's fine.
We'll call it a day.
Yeah, that's fine.
We call Sarah's back really quick. Sarah's making a point. Because I don't call her, they're calling, I bring on right now, making something. Yes. Yeah, Sarah, we got to bring you back really quick for you to finish all your point. You love it.
Man, my point is very simple. Like I said, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out something this simple. Cummings need to take a radical approach. Look, brother, when you want to be a president, you got to put yourself in line for the public. That's what is called the greater good or the common good. Dr. King went to jail. Gandhi went to jail. And every major political figure somehow went to jail. Sorry for my friend, F that court. Let them come and arrest you. You know what this thing is all about. You see, the only reason that people in the opposition try to buy this logic for 1 second was it's a process of elimination. There are only 3 houses in the race. You got Cummings, you got Joseph Boaga, and you got the ruling party. So in the mind frame or the minds of the Unity Party supporter, if Cummings is eliminated, who advantage is greater? It's Joseph Boaga. So they were making all this case, the document being Cummings is a criminal defendant. Like, dude, if you got an ounce of a brain, you would know that this thing was framed from day one. Just follow the timeline of the whole case from day one. About document, and then it went to signature, and then it went to pages that were signed. and staple another document. You keep removing the goalposts. Because the question you will ask yourself, for hypothetical reason, let's just assume that Cummings fingered this document. What unfair advantage Cummings fingering this document gave him over any other candidate within the CPP? And you cannot tell me, okay, if you cannot tell me that he was carrying on a criminal activity to benefit him politically, then why would he want to put his career on the line to go and falsify a document with malicious intent? But we all knew that was a lie. But like I said, it's a process of elimination. If Joseph Boga had been in the same case, probably the ANC people would have done the same because they know it's a three-horse race. If one guy is out, it plays to the advantage of the other guy. So since Cummings is in trouble, nobody not looking at the legal aspect, nobody not looking at the abuses coming from Georgia. No, it's coming. So the people on the other side will support it.
Yeah.
So you look at the whole thing, you look at the Cabinet Janice case, you look at the Brownie Samuka case, and you know exactly where this thing is going. Look, bro, we are less than 1.5 years away from election. Like I tell somebody, the only reason no God wanted to tell about that case is not because of to have an impact on the outcome of the case. They just wanted the optics. If a guy like Cummings is on camera all the time in court, you know why he plays though politically?
I agree.
That was why they wanted it televised. It's about politics. It's about elimination. It's not about legal logic. It has nothing to do with that. And they will keep pushing this until Cummings can choose to take another route. If he can't, he might as well case it goodbye.
And I even doubt that if he were convicted, they will even talk about that school building that you're talking about. They could change it to get him out. It's a strategy.
Yeah, something like Cummings is done. They will say, oh, it's a third degree misdemeanor. Oh, we just need class teaching, but that's a damn lie. The moment you accept that charges, you see what will happen. They will flip it around. And
So Sarah's?
Yeah, man. So I mean, somebody I already saw the comment coming from somebody. I mean, like sometimes when you're so into the
I know the emotion on it, but thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate self-acknowledgement because you know that we said such words can be trickery and it can
it's going forward. Anybody come on SKTV, you can go on other show and use that word. That's fine.
Yes.
But on the show, we'll hold you.
Well, I'm glad you caught it. So I noticed you caught it and said altering your next statement.
You know my partner comments. One thing comments you consider.
No.
Whenever people engage in protest, they were sending message to the government. This was the only government in human history that states for counter protest against an opposition party in any society.
Yeah.
Have you seen it before? Or government counter staging another protest. Come on, man, bro. You either drop this thing and just go live a private life if you're not in it to the fight, man. For the fight.
Exactly. Yeah. Cummings needs to get out of that diplomatic seat.
People are just getting sick of this thing every day.
He needs to get out of the diplomatic seat.
Yeah.
He needs to get out of that. He's not in corporate America. I've said this before. The terrain is rough. It calls for radicalism. It calls for serious-minded people who want to take because that's the only way you can deal with CDC. That other way, any other way you carry that on too, it will not work.
But you saw what the people did about themselves in 12 years. They said the most protest more than 73. They carried casket. They took women on the clothes and put blood stain on it. What are you dealing with a government? You're not dealing with professionals here. If someone were advising Cummings or talking to Cummings, this halu balu like ain't go the way. Long time thing over with man. We not here to come talk about your hala talk. Me I'm inside with nobody. We will go to the table, put all options on the table. It will get noisy. If this arena civil get on top of judicial misconduct, what will be the penalty? If I let the guy another government that coming to prosecute this guy, or that will keep their feet to the fire to keep their in check. You're talking about judicial misconduct? No, they will abuse you all the time.
Yeah.
And they will defy you to do something different because they know nobody is coming after them. The vast majority of the people in like, bro, don't pay attention to this thing. Like I said, that's why the guy always create a rift between the people back home and we overseas.
Yeah.
That's why every time, technically, when the guy said, oh, the people in the diaspora want to bring war, what they are literally telling the people is, you will live in poverty, we can abuse you, we can abuse the Constitution, but at least it's better than a war. So every time you tell the people to not accept things that the government is imposing, then they say, no, you don't want trying to bring war. But here is a man that can abuse you every day. You walk on all the Constitution. He cannot even declare his asset legally. You got another guy putting $25 million in his car trunk, acting like he's the one responsible for monetary policy. You get people being killed mysteriously. And what you do, you just sit there and accept it. And somehow the people who refuse to accept it, they are the one that bring in war. That's the narrative in Liberia. Yeah. So the vast majority of Liberian people, they is supposed to be acceptable. Whether you abuse a political leader, whether you terrorize him, whether you remove cabinet, no, we should just accept it. That one,
And why you need Bernie Samoka then sit on there, and they use this political jargons and they, and we just submit to the rule of law and we submit. You sort of be submitting no criminal there. You're supposed to be on that level.
He submitted to the rule of law when you ran your own country.
Yeah, the rule of law run you out now. Look, these guys are emboldened because they've tried it twice. They've succeeded. This is the third time they want to try it. Cummings and ANC need to put their foot down. If they put their foot down, the thing will stop. And I believe other people who are on the fence will support them and join them into this quest. Yeah, keep that country. Listen, Joe, we ain't busy. Listen, look, Joe, we ain't busy. Joe, we are get out. He go to somebody who he lead the American and he to visit him. He goes say they go and dedicate stadium. Joe, we is not busy. If Joe, we were busy for two, and the country was really busy for two. Joe, we are sitting in the country because he will know say the country need to be stabilized and no noise need to be there. He will sit in one place, but he not busy, so he got free time. Magiote can kind of talk bunch of crap in public, and everybody get accepted. Proclamation that he's supposed to be making as the president. Magiote kind of talk and confuse the public. Then you get Stanton and other funny looking men around the time, pushing all kind of funny messages. I don't even see his said,
in a functioning democracy, between the three, whenever there is a rift between the three branches of government, the one branch of government you don't mess with is the legislative branch.
Exactly.
The only reason because they were elected, and you got to be a friend of the will of the people. If this guy can go against Brandon Samuka on some bogus charges, I mean, I'm not here to play quarterback for Brandon Samuka, but we all know what that Brandon Samuka case for all about. Yes, Brandon Samuka been in alien government for a while. He for the military industrial complex. He got better training from America and into intelligence, so they don't want him occupy his seat. But either whether or not you like Brandon Samuka, the fact of the matter is he was elected. So it simply means you are going against the will of the people. Then now we're not operating a democracy. That's a tyrannical form of government.
Right.
You look at a man that was voted for overwhelmingly. I think he got more than 50% of the vote. That's a consensus. That's a consensus vote. If you can vote against a guy like Brandon Samuka, then tell me where will you stop at? Like I keep telling people, the reason Cabinet Jada was removed because Cabinet Jada objected to 2017, and Georgia know that he's not going to win a free and fair election come 2023. I mean, our sentiment is already there. But Georgia got one secret. He will wreck that election knowing that the Constitution calls for going to the court, to the Supreme Court. And once he gets to the Supreme Court, they will rule in your favor. So Georgia is not going to stop. Prince Joseph said it accurately. This man was never prepared for power. He don't have the inclination for leader. You give him this much power, and you think by some magical means he's going to turn it over in your peaceful transition. You must be dreaming. You must be the dumbest person on the planet to believe that Georgia will take over power to the opposition.
But Sarah, here's the last point. Here's the last point I wanted to make before I can get you before you can leave us. I want to make this last point. The Americans have given you clues and hints that it is your responsibility to take this bull by the horn, and they would come to support you or help you if need be. The Labrampo need to rise up. They need to rise up to this nonsense. This is not Dothan, where people used to be in here and they can talk, they can say, the Labrampo need to rise up and stand up to this nonsense that's going on. This is ridiculous. Who knows? Bernie Samuka is out of the country. Who knows what he's doing, what he's planning? Who knows? Who knows? Because at the same way Doe did, Doe drove people out of the country. He made people uncomfortable in the country. They had to retreat to get themselves together and come back.
But why you didn't talk about the SS competition about the residents? It was the opposition out of the country, so they had no means of coming back to contest against him.
Exactly.
That was the whole idea. And that's what this guy been doing. He did it to countless people.
Sarah, can you wrap it up? We got some other calls.
You oppose him, if you are trying to bring war. So that nigga, you just giving him a blank slate to just abuse you and insult you and do everything as well.
Yeah.
Because you know that you're so afraid of war. Matter of fact, you import, but they don't get food. So why you want gun to be shooting around here? I can just walk over you. I can just abuse you. And somehow you just supposed to accept it. Because the worst case scenario, if you come against me, you will get a war and you will be the victim. So our people are accepted. That's the logic.
Well, that's it. Thank you so much, Sarah. Yes,
Thank you, Sarah. I have a point here, though.
Yeah, can I call her quick?
Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Yeah, they can hear you. They can hear.
To you guys.
Hello.
Hi, Sister. Hi, Moses. Moses, you can hear me?
Can you hear? Steve, can you hear? Yeah, you on speaker. Can you hear the
Yes,
caller?
I can hear him. Yes, I can hear him.
He's talking to you. That's why.
Oh, okay. So let me say good afternoon, good morning, because now it is due to the social media people from different part of the geography or different time, and I give you the opportunity to listen. So let me say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank God it's Saturday. Thank God it's the weekend. This is Jay Rennie here. Again, I'd like to say a big thank you to the management of Sky TV. I have received numerous calls from the interaction we had. I think a day ago, many people were very excited with the program, but that is already in the archive now. Now, let me put another one again into the archive here. So, I'm going to be very upfront here, all right? Because I have been wounded so many times in so many battles with the political warring faction of Liberia. So I have done it, peace, negotiation on the side and what have you. Let me say this here, all right? It is very unfair to the Liberian people if we're not straight up with things. One, Kabina Janet, by right, everyone of us should have received Kabina Janet before he even got onto that Supreme Court bench. And here's why. When Ellie was given the green light by the late Johnny Lewis, Ellie shouldn't have ran in that election because Ellie violated the constitutional right of Samuel Kanyanjo. No Liberians stood up. Camilla Janet also came at the last minute of time and joined our war. The DRC that took a lot of people to court to reconcile, they banned Camilla Janet. Ellie did respected the Constitution and appointed Camilla Janet. The very national legislature order that we are against today, they went and accepted Camilla Janet and confirmed him. Despite the fact that Camilla Janet was banned right after the 2000 World War I, World War II, World War III. Where were the Liberian people at the time? Where were the Liberian people? It happened just within the early 2000s, ladies and gentlemen. But he got confirmed. Whatever happened to Camilla Janet, I think one day too, Camilla Janet should come out and tell us why, after you were recommended not to participate in any government operation, why did he accept the position? Was it an honest decision or a deliberate decision that benefited him? You're thinking about that. Number two, the fact that Mr. Weir is enjoying himself while they're taking advantage, he has all right, and I think Moses is right, that the president is less busy in the country. But what is the opposition doing? What is the opposition doing? Look at what they're doing right now. They're fighting about themselves. Nobody should come here and tell you guys that if Mr. Weir win, Moses is breaking. That's not true. I want to see ANC radio, or let ANC just hire a few people to walk on the street of Monrovia, Buchanan, and start asking people what or who will be the candidate to vote for tomorrow if the election was to be held. You will not get many people talking about ANC because most of the ANC supporters are online and the voting is not online. But they only try to please commies because they got it voiced. It's not fair to commies though. It's not fair to commies. Moses, hire people, let them go on the ground there tomorrow. Monday morning. From Monday of this coming week to Friday. And let them do a real-time survey and see how many people vote for commies. Still in the commies camp? We're talking about doing a work with the bad thing job we are doing. Do you know there are some people in the commies camp that rejected me to go and be part of them? Do you know that, Moses? Let me read with the
So we have another. So Rennie, we have another call waiting, but
okay.
But I have a quick question for you. No. Hang on. I have a quick question for you, just because you mentioned something, and I heard you say that on your show too. So the questions you're asking, the recommendations you're making, I don't know if a recommendation or the statements, But did you mentioned your show that you had a conversation with Mr. Cummings, whether you call him or he call you, it doesn't even matter, but you had a conversation. Did you recommend same to him?
No, Mr. Cummings had asked me to join the party. I told him I was going to consult with my wife because making the decision is a very difficult one to do. But what is stopping me now from making that decision is the fact that Dr. Francine is on the Spoon Network and we put his house here. She went to Liberia, she saw what people were there. She's yet to come and tell us what happened. I know what I'm asking Dr. Francine to come out because CDC people did the same thing. They went, they saw, they see, they talked, they came out, they kept quiet. Until Dr. Francine can be transparent out and not going to go into something again to get into another hula bahu that I have experienced with Liberian people. It's up to ANC to defend whatever they want to defend, but I have been there. They say when snake by you see Pia Gometeo, you run away.
Okay.
If Dr. Francine is coming to support Cummings, she needs to be honest to the Liberian people who believe that Cummings is the better president. She needs to be able to get someone let that show. Nobody knows what Ketama let that show for it. So let us be Liberia-centric. The centricity of Liberia, we should put everything on Liberia, but look at what is right. So I thank you guys for giving me the opportunity. But this is Jay Rennie here. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. But Ketama told us why he left, though. So I'm not defending him, but he told us why he left.
What did he say?
What he said was just time to move on. Really, our professional people, it's time to move on, you move on.
So do you think that time to move on? So when Jay Rennie moved on from CDC, why people say it's more to that story?
Oh, it's more?
Than what Ketama is telling you guys.
Okay.
Let me ask Ketama himself. I got a question for him. Let me ask. It's not time to move on. This is not place of work. This man sat on that show and criticized the government and did everything. Chris Copo left CNN because he supported his brother. There were other institutional individuals that left the work and told us the main reason why they left. It's not time to move on. No, it was not on the most circumstances that Ketama left. It was after spending that visit Liberia, they came back, he said, go in the bush. He came back, he said, it's time to move on. Why did he go in that bush? Why did he not go in that bush? He came back, it's time to go on. That's the question you need to ask Ketama.
Well, all right. Thank you, Randy. Thank you. That's a discussion for a different day, but I'm sure he will be able to say that to himself. Steve, one more caller here, and then we'll call you a day.
Yeah, I have one person that was on hold.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Go ahead with your caller.
No, I dialed him back. So if you have one on hold, go ahead.
No, mine's hung up too. It was from Canada, so I'm calling him back. Hopefully he answers.
Okay.
You have reached.
All right. Tell you can go ahead with your caller because you can go ahead with your caller because this caller did not answer. Go ahead with your caller so we can call you a day, please.
Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling you from Pennsylvania.
And your name?
My name is Emmanuel Dekia.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was following your show. There are two things I would like to talk about. The issue that I really follow is the signal report. And there was some...
Okay, so you can't use that word. If you use this here, then we'll have to let him go.
That I was going to go there, but well, the thing about it is that we don't encourage the use of the word because it's triggering and it is just offensive to some. So you can use the F. You can say F word. We all know what it is, and then you can speak to it for what context you were calling about. But we just don't encourage the use of the word here. I hope you understand that.
Oh, you don't encourage it? Okay. So I heard someone say that. Well, if I use the word, you're gonna let me go or what?
Well, that's what we're telling you now. Like in a civil way, like we don't encourage it here. There are other platforms that encourage it, but we don't encourage it because it is triggering to some of our viewers, including me, and it is offensive. And so you can use the F word. We all know what you will be talking about, and then you can still explain why you're calling about it. We want to hear from you. So just when I encourage you, just using the word, that's all it is. And I hope you understand.
Yeah, actually, I'm cognizant of what you're saying. The problem is I was in statement when someone behind you cut me off. So I was distracted because you can't really hear from which point I was coming from.
Oh, go ahead. I apologize, but go ahead. It's just the use of the word again when we say triggering. So they just hearing the word, Well, he hung up. So what? That's it. He's hung up.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. The reason I said that because he's been following the show, Emmanuel is my friend and a brother. He's been following the show, but he wants to justify this word. He want to use this word. That's fine. You can go use it somewhere else. We're saying respectfully, don't use it here, please. He's been writing about this. That's his focal point, and he wants to justify. He wants to come on the show and use that same word in defiance to what we're saying here. And so that's not told him. If he does that, he will be cut off. It's simple as drinking water. No, we're not going to hear away or get say hata. That's easy. So you want to speak to the word, that's fine. You can use other words and speak to it in that context, like you said. But we're not going to go back and forth with that because he's been justifying all this why about why the word should be used and why it's not offensive and why it's not like that. That's fine. That's his right to justify. You can write it on here. But you can't on the show use that word. If I'm here, we'll call you off. Especially when we tell you don't use it again, you use it again. We'll call you off. Yep. I don't care who you are, whether you're a woman or you're a man, we'll call you off. So let me just be clear on that one. We're not going to tolerate it here. We can't be speaking about against something and people, then we'll still condone people using that. What the purpose of speaking against it? You know what I mean? This is how we like to behave, all of us. But yes.
Well, I'm glad
you get a parting comment, and I will give my parting comment, and we'll call it a day.
No, I think it was a good show. I'm glad that we were able to discuss the training issues and just discuss it for what it is. That's something that and some of our friends struggle with, and just calling it for what it is. And I'm glad that we on here will call it for what it is. Like us, hate us, love us, throw us away, but you can count on us for that. So we continue tomorrow. Have a good evening. I'm going to draw myself, so enjoy yours.
They put amazing. They rushing to go. Okay, I will just take your picture. I just leave it. We'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah, some people express interest about the t-shirts. It's on my Etsy store. I'll drop the link after the show. I'll drop the link in the show. You can buy. It's not really expensive though. It's like $24.99. So
yeah, you can drop the link also on your page too, so they can follow you there. Yeah, drop it here. Drop it.
Yeah, I'll drop it in the show link and I'll drop it on my page. Yeah,
and then on SKTV link as well, so that they can That's well, Telvi is back. For y'all who miss her, she's back. Y'all need to, y'all need to be sending y'all, all of y'all need to be sending y'all different something so that I can look at the one that's much suitable,
Hi,
how you want to do it? Okay, let me leave it now.
I said nothing.
You got Benny, my journal, I've been asking him for my Zelly number. And also my Cash App. But I don't do Cash App, so I don't do Zelly and Cash App there. I do the old school days. You don't go to the bank and deposit or whatever it is.
Yeah, you have it. Okay. We'll look at the comments for the size. Okay.
Thank you guys. We'll be on tomorrow by the grace of God. Monday we're here. Feel free if you have any question, any concern. Feel free to follow us. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for the show. And we will call it a day now. We're going to the music. Thank God Telvi is back. So let's enjoy the weekend. Be blessed. Stay out of trouble.
You don't even know my story. You don't even know your story. Oh yeah, on the beat, I'll be a local. So moral, you post a new car on Facebook. But that's so la la, you work it better. Loving and acting jealous, say you photo. My advice for you in my way, I got to confess. Confession, you gotta confess. You must have the impression. Enjoyment, got your blessing. Enjoyment, no more stressing. Enjoyment, got your blessing. Enjoyment, no more stressing.
It's never gonna be another man trash, just another man treasure. Another man fool, was another man poison. Got your good, according to your measurement. Got your good, according to your measurement. The player ain't chemist, and they play you booty. Just because of impression, impression, fake impression, impression, yeah. You don't even know my story. you want to share my glory, oh